You have found Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. We are locally underwritten by the Bank of Sun Prairie. If you'd like some downloadable audio episodes, which you probably do, you can go to drawincustomers.com, click on that big old podcast link, and lo and behold, hundreds of episodes, all for your listening enjoyment. Today, we're welcoming / preparing to learn from Lucas Selman. I love this. A young, driven guy who found love and will be moving to Lebanon. So, Lucas, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. As you can see, I don't know if you can see the sweat here, but it's 35 degrees here in Spain.
All right. Celsius, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, Celsius. I have like 3 fans on me right now, but man, it's hot. So yeah,
Right.
I'm apart from that, I'm happy. I've had my dinner and ready to rock.
Nice. So you are currently in Spain now, is that right?
That's right. I'm in south of Spain in a town called Marbella. That's in a place in Spain called Andalusia, which is very near to Morocco, to Portugal. So I know there's a lot of expats right now in moving to Portugal.
Yeah.
So just across the side is Marbella, which is south of Spain. So I've
right.
been here for a couple of years now, and I love it, man. I've built a life here for the past few years, and for anyone thinking of moving or doing some expats, look into Spain. It's really, really welcoming to foreigners, and everyone speaks English. It's an amazing place.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. So Lucas, for the listeners at home, right? Lucas reached out to me because he said he had 2 breakthroughs in the last 3 years. One is he's learned how to run 100% chat-based sales with 0 Zoom calls or strategy calls, which is funny. And I love this. I'm very interested in this, curious, because I have come from a trade show working with veterinarians, vet techs, all that kind of stuff. And it's interesting because that is a very nice crowd, but a very, broadly speaking, a pretty introverted crowd. So it was tough. We were working a booth, or I was working a booth that we had for the call answering service. And it was interesting because I was thinking, I'm going to talk to this guy today, about not having to deal with this. Which, I mean, it was good times. It was fun, all that jazz for me, but I'm more of an extroverted guy. But I was thinking it would be nice to have employees do something like that. And in the end, if it's easier to make sales, broadly speaking, you can make more sales. So that's always good. So we'll be talking about that, as well as you mentioned that every 7-figure business has what you call trash can assets, which piques my curiosity.
Absolutely.
And he said the list of leads that never converted, the email list that's gathering dust. We all have those. Past low ticket customers that haven't ascended to a higher tier. We got those too. So I'm excited to learn about both of these. So let's start with the chat-based sales, because that's exciting. Nothing happens until a sale is made.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Okay. Let's start with. So I'm 28 years old, and I don't know if you noticed, but the more we get into the future, the more anxiety is linked to phone calls. I don't know if it's like this in the US, it's like this in Europe, it's everywhere. People right now, when they receive a phone call from someone they don't know, just anxiety builds up, and they automatically get their guards up. It doesn't matter if it's in sales or they're expecting a call from their bank. If you notice, more and more of resources from the big institutions, banks, car dealerships, governmental institutes, are driving much more into chat-based consultancy, sales and customer service. People are responding better to chat, right? Overall. And that's been my experience, and from the people I've talked to, that's been their experience too. And the cool thing about chat-based sales, I mean, when I say chat-based, it's literally text. So what do I mean by that? Everything that has to do with, Telegram, Messenger on Facebook, LinkedIn, SMS, whatever. the good thing about chat-based sales, especially two components. Number one is that one of the keystones of sales is hiding the sales process, right? So what do I mean by this? It's a workshop is not a workshop. It is actually a sales training. It's a sales environment. Discovery call is not a discovery call. It's a sales meeting. And we can go on and on and on, right? And the thing is, as markets mature, you already know that booking a demo, booking a discovery call, booking a breakthrough session, booking a call, it's linked to sales. It's linked to, okay, I'm gonna get sold on, which is not bad in and of itself, but human nature, we do get our guards up, okay? So in my experience, when I started to incorporate chat-based sales entirely and solely, it kind of flipped the dynamic between myself as a salesperson or myself as a business owner and the person on the other side. Because, and I'm going to go into the psychology of how I do sales, but I just wanted to bring some nuances on the overall like theme that encompasses chat right now. And that is, if you think about the written word, when you read something, even if I write it, you are reading it with your own voice inside your head. So the conversations that are happening in chat are literally happening in your own voice, and your own voice is literally the one you trust the most. So when you hear a solution, when you hear a good sentence, when you hear a good message, when you read it in your own voice, it's subconsciously more welcoming, if that makes sense, okay? Apart from that, having your tab open, you can literally have 15 conversations at once. The record I have for one whole day is 48 conversations because I ran a campaign at the same time. I ran a campaign. I'm going to explain to you how I do what I do and the 3-step process. But I basically blasted out an email, very short email. I call it the hand raiser email, basically saying, hey, I got this, we've had this result. Would you like to look into it? Let's have a conversation and just reply with a yes if you want more info. And we get a conversation started. So a bunch of people do their hand raisers, right? And they slid into my DM. So we start a conversation. And then I have like a 6-hour window where I'm just focusing on 48 people at the time. And I do have a VA, I do have people in my team that are helping me, but that just allows me to compress timeframes and not book 1-hour sales calls with one person each and every time. It allows me to expand my bandwidth in such a good way. What else with chat? Also, a good thing with chat is that apart from it not being very intrusive, people respond to it when they have some time. People respond. It's not like you are putting them in the spot. It's very, although it's personal, they don't see me in the other end as a human, so to speak. It's more like they're speaking with someone on the other line, but they don't know who it is, in terms of I'm not looking directly at them and waiting for them to make a decision. So that's like the overarching psychology behind chat and why I love it so much. Am I saying a video call is non-existing and you don't need it? I'm not saying that. Absolutely, time and place for everything, right? I'm just saying that if you use chat-based sales correctly, it can absolutely transform a lot of the sales experience for both business and customer. In my experience, people just my last things I would like to say on this is that the dynamics change absolutely and completely. The dynamics change because now it's more like a conversation instead of a sales call or a discovery call. Now, later on in this episode, I'm going to go into the actual how and the nitty-gritty on how I structure my campaigns and why I do what I do. And it's going to become very clear. That's my aim of this, right? To make this very clear for everyone who wants to start one tomorrow. And I'll share with you how to approach these businesses, how to run these campaigns. So that's my goal.
All right. It's interesting. I've had this conversation with a few, more than a few people. For one of the reasons I have a call answering service, and was the person or the people that I've chatted with, depending upon their age. You mentioned anxiety with phone calls, and I have met quite a few people that were just anxious about talking to anyone, whether that was in person, over the phone, anything where they're actually using their own voice, video chat. Anyone during the pandemic, when my wife's a teacher, she had to teach over Zoom or whatever it is, whatever platform they were using, and kids were afraid to talk. So it's interesting how they're afraid, even in a classroom, which these are the same 25, 30 people you're seeing every day for a year. You think you'd get some level of comfort out of that, but some of them don't. Anyways, people my age, I find less likely to feel anxious over that because we didn't have another option. I mean, the internet, when I was a kid, it wasn't a thing, at least not on the scale that it is now. Chat wasn't a thing. Text wasn't a thing. Video calls were definitely not a thing. So you either talked in person or you talked on the phone. We always joke, like, when you're going to meet your buddies when you're a kid, what did you do? You went to the park and you waited. Like, you didn't have to chat with anyone.
Yeah, I think I was I was the last generation who actually, we had a meeting point. Everyone was in the park and we just waited for someone to show up and we played football.
Yeah, you played with whoever showed up. There wasn't there's no digital communication of any kind. And then I think about the ways that I've experienced chat from a consumer standpoint, and I would not say that it has been a great experience. Because when I go to chat online, let's say if I want help with whatever website I'm going to, my expectation is if I call that phone number, I'm going to be waiting on hold for a half hour. I'll be wasting my time. So I get on chat and I'm like, hey, I got this problem. Or they'll have some bot that tries to lead you to try to solve your problem. You can't solve your problem. You just want a human. You try to talk to a human and you're like, hey, this is my problem. And it'll say agent is typing for the next 10 minutes. And so you're just waiting, or you get something else going on, and maybe the chat times out before you come back to it. It seems extremely, from a consumer's point of view, extremely time wasting. Would have been a 30-second phone call, but from the chat point of view, because that chat, the operator, the agent, whatever, probably has more than one chat going on. And it seems annoying from a consumer standpoint. But on the flip side, much less expensive from the company side, from the business side. And in the end, everybody wants something cheaper. So companies have to figure out how to cut. And that's one of the ways that they cut, especially if you're a large enough company. You don't have to care. I think of Google with their tech support. Doesn't exist. They don't have any. If you got a problem with the search engine, who do you reach out to? Like, no one.
True.
But could you imagine if they actually did have a tech support team? They'd be crazy busy all the time.
I have some horrible experiences, but some really, really good ones. And I'm like, wow. For example, like Revolut, the banking app. It's like it's like Mercury in the US. Mercury. Revolut is an amazing. I send a message in 10 seconds. I have a personalized person who just is with me. It's amazing.
Wow, that's impressive. Rare.
Yeah, it is. I'm telling you, man, I'm seeing more and more companies incorporating like chat in a real way where it's not automated. By the way, AI, we don't even have to talk about AI. It has its place, but I really believe in the next 10 years, 15, 20 years, personalized, blasting out emails are the key. Like personal touch is the key.
All right.
I don't incorporate any ChatGPT AI chat. I literally just sit down. If I have a day that I blocked off 6 hours and to respond to all the emails that have come in from a campaign, I sit for 2, 3, 4 hours, 5 hours and just reply to every single one. Is it tedious work? It may be, but the payoff is freaking amazing.
Sure. All right.
So I'll go through So here's the thing. To best explain it, I'm gonna go over the trash can asset, okay? Because it's in the trash can asset that I believe the listeners can get the most out of this.
Oh,
They can
okay.
literally start tomorrow. I promise you. Here's a promise to your audience.
I'm
After
ready.
this call, I'm gonna send you a bunch of emails that prove what I say. Where I reached out with a rinky-dinky Gmail from Spain. I gave them my message, and within 1 or 2 days, I had a meeting, and in 1 week, I had a deal. Okay,
Wow.
and
Okay.
3 weeks later, I got paid handsomely. So I'll share this with you, and you can like say, yeah, this guy, he knows what he's talking about.
I'm
Do
ready.
do I have the answer? Do I have the answers to everything? Absolutely not. By the way, by nature, I'm very lazy, so I'm not going to take. I'm not gonna. I don't like the hustle. I don't like. I'm not gonna take this to a 9-figure business. But hopefully, someone in your audience can take this, put their own little magic to it, and maybe they have a big beautiful business. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I don't know that anyone has all the answers. If they ever say that they do, they're probably lying. Or they really
awesome.
don't know.
Now, yeah. Okay. So trash can assets. What is it, and how can we capitalize? All right. Um, it's always easier to join something that is already in the movement than it is starting something from scratch, right? It's always easier to follow the momentum, to ride the wave, than it is to create the wave, right? So what do I mean by this? What I mean by this is leverage, right? It's much easier to generate a substantial impact income from a established business that is already proven, that already has a market fit, that already has an established name. They don't have to be 8, 7, 9 figures, but at least like they have systems in place, they have a management team, they have a proven offer, right? So it's much easier to come in and provide tangible value than it is, for example, starting from scratch, a company from scratch, or joining a startup, or working with an offer that is just maybe working. The founder promised me that they would hire me. Okay, so what do I mean by this? I literally mean that you can go out there today to establish businesses, and I'm talking every kind of business. I'm talking retail, I'm talking SaaS, I'm talking e-com, I'm talking coaching and consulting, that's a big one. I'm talking subscription-based business, that's a big one. And you can literally just take a pen and paper, just analyze for yourself, okay, this business has these many customers, right? They are in these many, they have these products. How can I come in and generate more revenue for them? Okay, and I'm not talking about email marketing. I'm not talking about SEO. I'm not talking about marketing per se. I'm just talking, instead of doing a service provider mindset, ask yourself, how can I, as an investor, if I had $200 or $500 to invest in a company, which one would it be, right? So I'll give you an example of how I started out. I was looking into subscription-based business, right? And I found a cool company in Alaska that was doing, they sold fish subscriptions. So
Oh, wow.
they went out, they went out in the beginning of the week, they fished a bunch of fish, and in the end of the week, they shipped out to thousands of their customers, right? And they had 3 plans. They had like the low plan, middle plan, high plan. The highest one is like $300 or $400 a month, right? So I asked myself, okay, what does a business that has a subscription, what problems do they face? They face 2 problems mostly. Number one, churn. People just cancel their subscription. Okay, that's one possibility. Number 2, some people just bought for 1 month and never bought again. That's a problem, right? That's money leaving on the table. Okay, put that in. Okay, so we have churn, and we have someone that just bought 1 time. Then they have probably an email list that they may be emailing once a month, and they're not really capitalizing on it. Okay, just with those 2-3 things, how about this? I go to this business and I say, hey, I really like your business. I see that you have 6,000 customers. I bet you have hundreds, if not thousands, of people who canceled the subscription. Is that right? They're like, yeah, that's right. Hey man, I'm just, we're just brainstorming, but what would you say if I were to fund a campaign to bring some of those customers back to you? Would that be interesting? And they're like, yeah, what do you mean? Well, tell me more. And I'm like, yeah, man, I mean, I'm pretty good with chat. I'm pretty good with email. Do you have their email address, or do you have their physical address? Because they were shipping fish, right? So they had their physical address. They're like, yeah, we do. Okay, fine. Now I ask you, if you have a list of 2,500 people who are spending at least $150 a month with you, 2,500 times 150. I'm not good at math, but we're talking 250,000, 300,000. There's about $1 million or $800,000 in that list, right? So, and they are accustomed to the product. They're familiar with the product. They like the product, enough to at least buy from them. They're familiar with the brand, and we have their contact details. So I don't have to start from scratch. Now I ask you, if you have a list of untapped asset, trash can asset that they're not doing anything with, they just lost a customer and they don't think much of it. If they give you access to that, obviously there was some negotiating in part. We agreed on a fee, but here's the thing: either I run an email campaign to this list, or I run a direct mail campaign to this list with a beautiful saying, "Hey, we're sorry to see you go. I'm wondering why did you cancel the subscription? Can we do anything to help? Here's a QR code. We embed it on the direct mail, and you can chat with us and see if we can do anything." You send that to 2,500 people, you're gonna get some who snap up on their subscription. And this is just one company, right? So now imagine you're doing this with 3, 4, 5 companies that you're utilizing their assets that they poured hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands to build, and they're just not doing anything with it because, and here's a very important thing that is not logical, or you don't think about it, but in my experience, and I'm sure in your experience too, when you have a 6 and 7 figure business, you are so occupied with doing what's working and to keep growing that you are by definition leaving money on the table, because you're just going. You're doing what's working, and you're happy with it because it's making money, you're growing. But you do have some trash can assets that you just let go, and you said, "Oh, I'm gonna hire someone to fix this. I'm gonna circle back to this," and just times, that's been so we utilize this to our advantage. So the whole concept is, and this is the big idea, the big enchilada. Instead of looking at yourself as a service provider, as a marketer, or as a copywriter, look at yourself as an investor and say, if I have $500 or $200, which company would I like to invest in? Because make no mistake, when I approach these businesses, and I have emails I'll show you, the dynamics change. Instead of a service provider offering email marketing or a marketing campaign, I am an investor willing to put my resources and time into building their business, and together we can grow.
That's cool.
So, yeah, man. So the whole concept is find businesses in my area, and like in my experience, SaaS, subscription-based, consulting-based are the easiest to work with, because they're accustomed with working, with email. They're accustomed with working with sales campaigns, etc. And they always, I'm telling you, they always have trash can assets. Some might be better than others, of course, and some might just not work out, and that's part of the game, right? But approaching it this way, to say, let's work on your trash can asset first, and let's turn that around, and then let's move into other ventures. And I've had partnerships where I started with a trash can asset. I did the first campaign with email that brought enough revenue for us to put into Facebook ads, to put into YouTube ads. So I'm literally creating a profit center for them and for me, just starting out from the trash can asset. Does this make sense so far?
It does. Yeah. I'm very
Yeah.
curious to know, how did it turn out with the fish, the subscription for the fish?
It went well the first 3 months, but then they wanted to do it for themselves. And this was, mind you, my first partnership, like my first deal doing this. So I made a ton of mistakes, which now in hindsight, I could have handled much better, but you live and you learn. We did amazingly for 3 months. And then they took it over because I didn't understand how to position this in my favor. And now we're talking IP. Now we're talking, when you see that something is working really well, I'll show you also how to negotiate better deals, negotiate future plans, because at the third month, the list has already been sold and that trash can asset had already been mined. So there wasn't really much to do left for me. Now in hindsight, I could have done so much more with that, but you live and you learn.
All right.
But I've had my longest partnership running for now 14 months, a coaching offer.
Okay.
And there we do everything from direct mail, email, SMS, now Facebook ads, and so 14 months.
All right.
But the whole point of this is it allows you to get deals super fast. And instead of being a service provider, you're kind of a partner slash, investor slash trusted advisor, right?
All right.
So now having said this, here's what I wish I knew before. When you do these outreaches, and I'm gonna after this call, I'm gonna give you some templates that I've created so that you can get these deals quite fast. But always, always, always start with email. Don't put a ton of money into direct mail directly. Just start with email, or if they have an SMS list, do SMS. The reason for it is it's fast and cheap, right?
All right. Yep.
You can see quite fast if it's working or not. And then once you're comfortable enough and you see, okay, we got some traction, then you can divert and say, okay, we're going to do some direct mail campaigns, we're going to do some Facebook ads, but that's further down the line. Always start with email and SMS. So these trash cans, by the way, they don't have to be like a super big SaaS company. They can just be a one-man operation. When you reach out to the owner of a Google Chrome extension, and I'm telling you, and I know you will agree with me on this. Every internet entrepreneur always has like 4 or 5 businesses running, at least 3, or they have a list. They 15,000 people they're not even emailing anymore from 1 year back, 2 years back, or they have a business that they always have something going for them, and you can actually come in and partner with them on this. So
nice.
Always keep, yeah.
So how did you get into this realm or this world of business here? Did you have a business of your own you're trying to push, or how did you get into all this?
You mean in business in general, this concept?
This service, this targeting the trash can assets, essentially.
Sure. Yeah. So when I moved to Spain, I was walking in the street, and there was this antique shop by my neighborhood, a beautiful antique shop, and I was seeing a statue that I really, really wanted. It was like I had it here. I'll show it to you. It's like an Achilles statue, the Greek warrior. He has a spear, and he's And I saw it, and I was just walking past it until one day I decided to buy it. So I walk in, and it's this older gentleman that happens to be from Sweden, and I'm half Swedish. So we start talking in Swedish. I buy the statue. He gets very happy, and we start talking, and this guy is about 72, 73. We start talking, and it turns out that he never had a he never had a vacation in like 40 years. And his family, his wife and kids are in Sweden. He's in Spain running this shop, working there nine hours a day, or 10, 12 hours a day, being old, just tired, man, like literally tired. And then I was like, that's too bad. Like, I hope things turn out well for you. And I go about my day, I take my statue with me home. And in the evening, I get an idea. I'm like, hey, he's got a beautiful office. I love history. I love antiques. And he has really good Wi-Fi. I could just plug my computer and do some calls, do some work. At the time I was selling Google My Business to Swedish businesses in Sweden in
Oh, wow.
2018, 2019. Went really well, but then I moved on because of this. Anyways, I that evening I was so excited because here I had this older gentleman who wanted to go to Sweden, but never had, like, he didn't have an employee. He couldn't just leave the shop, right? So the very next day, I buy 2 coffees, one for him, one for me. I go into the antique shop and I'm like, here, man, here's a coffee. I have a proposal for you. How about you go to Sweden for 2 months and you leave me with the office. I'll keep the doors open for you. I'll take 20% of everything that comes in. And you just let me put my computer here and let me work. In 3 days, he was in Sweden. And I ended up working in that antique shop, from July to September. It was a beautiful experience. So I got, I got to be in a beautiful office in the central town, have my coffees, have 10 to 1 or 2 customers a day, and that's it. And that's when it occurred to me, be a solution and find ways to utilize underutilized assets or motivated buyers or business owners. And in this case, it was literally the guy who really wanted to take a vacation but couldn't because he couldn't find someone to take care of the business. And on the other hand, here I was offering, saying, you know what, just give me 20% of everything that comes in and just let me work from here. So that in my experience, business has nothing to do with contracts and legal stuff. It has mostly to do with mutual benefit, right? And that's what I got the idea. You know what? I bet you every single business has this problem in one way or the other. They want to do so many things, but they just don't have the bandwidth and they're leaving money on the table. How could I come in and become an investor / partner instead of just a service provider? Because at the time I was learning about copywriting, I was learning about email marketing, but just learning about it. Never had experience with it. I'm not a copywriter, I'm not a marketer per se, but that's where I started. And I started to reach out to people in my network, my Facebook friends, my some people I did business with in the past, and they really liked the idea. And I started to just play with the idea, and that's when I just took my Gmail account and I found a bunch of businesses online. I put them on a spreadsheet and just started contacting. By the 7th email, I got one response, and that was from a coaching business, the fish business, and so on. By the way, a really good software that I use is called Snov.io. Snov.io. It's a Chrome extension that allows you to go into any website and click on the extension and grab the email address of the owner of that website, that business. So if you want to get in contact with anyone, just put on their website and extract their email. Really good one.
Oh, that's clever. How do you spell that?
Yeah. Snov, Snov.io. Snov.io.
All right.
I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I've used them for like 4 or 5 years. I love them. They're really, really good. But yeah, and I promise you, so I'll give you a perfect example of how I approach coaching, consulting based businesses in this manner. And for those of you that are not in the coaching slash, education business, most of the education business has a low ticket offer, then a high ticket offer, right? So, or either a low ticket offer being from $0 to $100, or $1 to $100, or a free resource, right? And all these coaching businesses and education businesses have thousands of low ticket buyers, but most of them are not ascending to the high ticket offers. So my approach to these coaching businesses is, hey, I was looking into your coaching business. I really like it. I'm interested in investing. I would be willing to potentially invest 100% into a sales campaign to bring more people from your low ticket offer into your higher back end offer. Are you fully capped out, or do you have capacity to bring in more students? That's a conversation starter. Mm-hmm. And once the conversation starts, it's not about a sale, it's just about a conversation starter. So once the conversation starts, they always say, hey, that's very interesting, tell me more. Now we have a conversation. So that's how easy it is, because I'm not there pitching saying, hey, I do email marketing, hey, I do direct mail, give me $10,000 and maybe you'll get something in return, So mm-hmm. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm not saying how much money I'm going to spend. I'm not saying how many hours I'm just saying I'm willing to invest and I'm willing to invest 100% in a sales campaign and ascend your low ticket buyers to your high ticket back end offers. If this was a SaaS, for example, I'd say, hey, I really like your SaaS. I'm interested in 100% funding a sales campaign to take your low tier customers and ascend them to the higher ones, or run a campaign to bring some of that churn back to you. Would you be willing to discuss this? And mind you, you're not working from zero. You're literally working with their assets. So it's a perfect trade-off in which they're giving you access to their audience, trash can audience, or past buyers or low ticket buyers. And there's a lot of money in that. There's a lot of invested money and energy in that. And you are meeting them halfway and saying, I'm going to put my energy, my time into this. And 7 times out of 10, it works out. 3 times out of 10, it just doesn't. There's no explanation to it, but it just doesn't. That's the name of the game. So, yeah.
That's all right. That sounds very cool. So you do this, you spend the time and resources, whatever, putting out this thing. How do you get paid then? Do you get a percentage of the results?
I do. In my case, I love recurring based businesses because I get a recurring commission every time they buy, or high ticket coaching. And I've gotten deals as much as 50% from this, like 50% commission. Yeah, yeah, 50% commission. It happened to me once. Normally it's between 30%. The higher the ticket, if we're talking like 8K above, it's between 15 and 25%. But if we're talking 5K, 3K, I'm getting 50% or 40%.
Okay.
Always. Yeah.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
here's the thing, man. There's no secret to it, except the dynamics have changed. Now I'm not a service provider. I'm an investor. So we're going into this 50-50. I'm putting my time, my energy into making this work. So they understand this. So they're willing to bump it up, right? Because again, it's a trash can asset. So they weren't doing anything with it to begin with.
Right. Yeah, anything is better than zero. And right now they're at zero with it.
Exactly.
So, very cool.
Exactly.
It's impressive. I imagine that works really well with something that can scale easily, such as software or something of that nature.
Absolutely. And here's another thing that's pretty interesting. And I'm playing with this idea now. I'm not there yet, but I'm just playing with this idea, and that is the world is bigger than the U.S. market. I love the U.S. market. I have 90% of my partners and clients in the U.S. But I'm telling you, many of the softwares and many of the tech you're using today is coming from Europe, from Asia, from South America, and in the US, you guys are 20 years, 30 years ahead in everyone in regards to sales and marketing. So don't be afraid. What I'm trying to say is don't be afraid to target a SaaS company in Sweden or Norway or Germany or UK, because there's a ton of them. And the beautiful thing about SaaS and technology-based business is that the common language is English every time. So you will have no problem talking to anyone, any of the owners or any of the managers in English. So I'm just putting it out there because that's something that I'm playing with right now, because I was blown away. I taught this to a friend of mine in Finland, and he's only targeting Finnish companies. You know what I mean? Finland is like, 4 million people, but
Yeah,
there's a SaaS company. It's tiny, man, but there's a SaaS company out there. I forget their name, but they have 65,000 customers. And it's a SaaS company that does like tracking for Google ad spend. Who would have known, man? Like, who would have known, So my point is, many of the SaaS companies located in a country have 80% of their customers around the world, in the US, in the UK, Australia, Germany. So it's a global market is what I'm saying. So,
yeah,
don't be afraid to check out new markets.
that's cool. That is really cool. Now, you alluded to something, or as I introduced you, you're moving, I don't know, I guess I want to say across the globe, but I guess it's not across the globe. You're moving a distance for the love of your life. So tell us about that.
Oh, well, I am, yeah. There's no logic to it, man. Like, Lebanon has no government, collapsed banks. It's in a state of war with Israel. But when I went to Lebanon 2 weeks ago, I was completely in love, not only with the country, but I met a beautiful woman there. And as a man, you may have 100 women, but when you find, your future wife, you just know. And that's
All
what
right.
happened to me.
So you went to
And
Lebanon for fun, for just touristy stuff. Is that right?
yeah, I went, well, actually a Middle Eastern tour, like a Mediterranean tour. I went to Greece, Cyprus, Armenia, Lebanon, and Georgia. And out of all these places, I lived in Greece before. I love Greece, but Lebanon, if any of you guys have the chance to go to Lebanon, it's the most amazing place. Everyone speaks English. It's a huge American colony, and one of the biggest US-based military bases in the Middle East is in Lebanon. They have American universities, and America and Lebanon have beautiful relationships. So everyone speaks English, everyone is super educated. There's a lot of luxury, obviously a lot of struggle there as well. But, beautiful seas, beautiful food, culture. Anyone that is conservative, likes traditional values. Lebanon is freaking amazing. It's a Christian country, and they have churches everywhere. Like every corner, there's a beautiful stone church. And yeah, apart from the woman that I met there, Lebanon is a beautiful place to explore spirituality, get closer to God, family orientated, very family orientated. So
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
it's a whole new chapter, but it's happening, and I'm very excited.
So just so I understand this, you met this woman a couple weeks ago while you're on vacation, touring the world, whatever, and you're deciding to move to a different country. So
Yes,
that's pretty cool. It's bold. That's bold.
it is bold, and it is bold, and there's no logic. I understand. There's no logic. I'm safe
Well, I'm
here.
not
I'm
trying to
good
argue
here.
either way. I think,
You know,
I mean, kudos to you. It's one of
yeah,
those times when you see people jump off a cliff into the ocean kind of thing. You're like, you
yeah,
know
yeah,
what?
yeah. No,
I
I
can't say
completely
you're
agree.
wrong. It looks awesome. I can't say you're
Yeah,
wrong.
no, yeah, yeah, and yeah, I'm happy, and it is
That's the
what it
name of the
is.
game.
That's the name of the game, man. The unknown is it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And to be fair, I was there. I felt like a special connection to the land, and so that's the next chapter in my
Very cool.
in my life. But I want to touch on. I promised how the chat-based sales.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to touch on you know, how that works and the frameworks you got to overcome to basically make any sale, but that translates to chat-based, right? Wait, let me turn on the fourth fan here because I'm dripping. Wait,
Sure,
one
no,
second.
you're good. You're good.
Let's see here. You tell me if it's too loud, and I'll just shut it off.
Can't even hear.
Okay, awesome. All right, so it's never about your product. It's never about you. We have this tendency when people ask us about a solution, you know, or they're interested, we always, like instinct, go to our offer about us, you know, how long we've been in business, how this product is amazing, but we never actually, we never realize that it's always about the customer, the prospect. So I'll give you a perfect example. If someone reaches out in one of my hand raisers emails and saying, you know, I'm interested in what you have to offer, I want to hear more. The tendency is to just write a paragraph and say, this is the cost, this is what we do, this is amazing, just buy, okay? Instead, what you should do is just saying, I'm so happy you're reaching out. Tell me, well, what's going on in your life that has you looking for possibilities? Just open up a conversation and just always turn the attention to them. You know, it's like, I always look at it as a island. There's two islands. It's Hell Island and Heaven Island, right? Right now, the prospect is in Hell Island. They have a problem. It's not getting any better. They're in pain, and they want to get to Heaven Island, but they don't know how to cross, right? And there's a bunch of sharks in the water. Your job is not to take them and just push them into the water, because you don't know if they've tried to swim and the sharks tried to get them. You don't know if they tried to build a boat and the boat didn't work. So you can't offer a solution before you've understood where they are, what they've tried before, why it didn't work, and why now is a good time for it to work. So if you go through those processes, like I can't offer you a boat or I can't offer you a helicopter if you're afraid of flying, right? So if my solution off the cuff is, you know what, let's get on a helicopter, you'd be like, no, I'm afraid of heights. No deal. I'll stay here, you know, I'll wait my turn. So here's the framework. Like, what have they tried before? Why didn't it work? And why is this now a good time for them to make a change? Those three questions open up a floodgate of opportunity for you to make business. Because now, you know, what have they tried before? Oh, I've tried email marketing, it didn't work. I've tried personal coaching, it just didn't work. So you can't offer email marketing or personal coaching. You have to figure out what they've done before, and then you got to figure out why didn't it work? What was it about that you didn't like? And what would you like to see instead? If there was a solution, how would that solution be like? So you're constantly putting the attention on them and let them, you know, bring forth the solution, and then you pair your solution with what they want, right? So that's the framework on any sales, basically, but also chat. I'll show you tons and tons of conversations where the first thing I say is, I'm so happy you reached out. Tell me more about your situation. You know, instead of talking about my product and what we're offering, just tell me more about your situation. Then they will say, oh, I've been in business 5 years. We've hit a plateau. We don't know what we're going to do next, how we're going to do it. Then my next question is, oh, that's cool. You're done a couple of 6 figures, but you hit a plateau. What have you tried before? You see? And then they say, oh, we tried Facebook ads. We put like 20 grand in Facebook ads. It just didn't work. And why do you think it didn't work? And what would the solution be like? And then just have a conversation. Some of these high ticket chats, and I'll show it to you, some of these high ticket chats go on for 48 conversations back and forth until a sale is made.
Wow.
But those 48 conversations, those 48 back and forths is in a span of 3 to 4 days. But now we've gotten such close bond, and now they know, and I know, I have a clear picture of where they are at, and it's their guard is down, and they feel like they've made the right decision.
All
Now,
right.
now I'm going to show you the big secret, the secret sauce, and this is a beautiful concept that you can apply to almost anything on how to run sales campaigns. Okay, so remember I said I have a 3-step process.
Mhm.
So the first step is I got the list, I got access to the list. Now what happens? Okay, I write a hand raiser campaign. What that means is I'm just gauging the audience, I'm gauging the list, and I'm basically just saying, hey, I got this. It's supposed to solve this. It's for these and these people. Would you be interested in joining me, or learning more about this? Give me a yes, or reply back with a yes, or reply back with more info, and I'll get back to you. That's a hand raiser campaign, hand raiser email. That's the first one. The second one is what I call the qualifier. That's basically when they reach out, they give me the hand raiser saying, yes, I'm interested. Then I say, okay, tell me more about your situation. We go back and forth. It may take 5 back and forths or 48 back and forths, okay? But by that time, I know what they've tried before, what they didn't like about what they've tried before, their situation, what they're hoping to gain in the future, what they're hoping the solution will be. And here comes the big enchilada. I never showed them the offer before I've had the qualifier, because I tailor each offer document or each sales page to each and every prospect that I'm sending this to.
Oh, wow.
And by the way, the offer document I always do in a Google Doc. I don't do landing pages so often. I just do it Google Doc. I do a Google Doc, and in the Google Doc I specify the details in the offer, what it's about, how much it costs, everything on a Google Doc. But based on our conversation prior to showing them the Google Doc, I infuse the Google Doc with their situation and our conversation. So when they read the Google Doc, it's personalized to them. So when they read it, it's like, oh, this is just like this is me. So that's a 3-step process. You tailor the offer. You don't manipulate or lie. You just tailor it. You just put an emphasis on what they feel important. And if your offer matches that, then you can word it that way, And so that's the big enchilada that I've dabbled with the past 9 months, and the conversions have skyrocketed.
Oh, that's awesome.
I show the offer. I show the offer document to each and every one specific to their needs. I infuse it in each and every prospect.
Very cool. That is impressive.
So that's the system or the way of working. Find a company, get them to give you their underutilized assets. Caveat: a list of buyers is much more worth than a list of freebies. I'll tell you, a list of 500 buyers is more worth than 10,000 people who never bought. I'll much rather work with 500 that put up their credit card and bought, even if it was $1. So always go for past buyers, trash can. If not, it's not the end of the world, but always try to go for that. Then start with email, and it's very simple. You can literally, you send the email from their internal, like Klaviyo, Active Campaign, and then you just get access to that, or you just set up a free Google domain, like a free Gmail, and have the CTA say, if you're interested in learning more, just reply to this email with this subject line. And then you continue the conversation on the email that you control. And once you've gathered funds, now you have a position and war chest to go into direct mail, to go into SMS, to go into Facebook ads, and literally create a profit center for both of you. And then And when you actually do the sales, just follow that 3-step process. Tell me more about your situation. What did you like? What didn't you like about the solutions you tried? Why didn't they work? What are you expecting to work? Like, if this didn't work, what will work? Do you have any idea? Just and have a conversation.
Gotcha. Now,
And
tell me, why would you use a Gmail address versus one of their domains? So at abccompany.com or whatever their domain.
okay, no. And it's a very good, it's very good at clarifying this. So good question. And let me clarify. The hand raiser campaign always goes through their internal active campaign. So they do the blast, right? But many companies don't want to give out their whole active campaign, and that's understandable. So what the solution I found to work equally well is that they send out the first email, right? And inside the email, I say, hey, if you want to raise your hand, if you're interested, reply back to this email. This email is like VIP company name at gmail.com, which I control, which I have logins to, and all the responses, all the hand raisers will go to this email. That's what I mean. Did that clarify?
Yeah, definitely. No, I see a lot of companies reach out to me with, as podcast guests, as whatever, vendors of some kind. And I see Gmail accounts way more than I see an at legitimatebusiness.com or something like that.
Yeah, I use a Gmail account. I love it. I've sent out probably tens of thousands of emails from my personal Gmail. And
so I guess what I was wondering is that a way to avoid ending up in spam or black flagging your own?
Yeah, man, listen. If in my experience, as soon as I start to personalize each email a little bit, at least in the first sentences, I can send out 100 emails a day without it getting to spam. Cold outreach. So that's my experience. So I don't have like a particular data or statistics, but I use a Gmail and I love it.
Gotcha. So. Okay. Super cool. Well, Lucas, we are pretty much out of time here, and you covered a lot of ground when it comes to sales and all that kind of stuff, which is impressive. It's funny you say that because I don't know of any business that doesn't have that list of people that either did business in the past or people that reached out, and they just, I don't know, when you're leaving money on the table. Yep. I always think of a poker game. You sweep your arm. There's still stuff on the side.
Yeah, I'll leave you with this. The deal is not done yet, but I'm talking to one of the biggest insurance companies in Australia that does mining and oil and gas insurance. So one customer can be worth $100 grand. So I literally reached out to the owner and said, "How many of your clients have either bought something from you in the past that are not, or you had a discovery call and never converted?" That's a big one too. Do you have a list of people who did a discovery call but never converted? That's a trash can asset because they spent ads to get that person on that discovery call. So there's built up momentum, there's built up energy in that asset. So I'm in talks now to do a campaign, to do an email campaign, and if that goes well, a direct mail campaign to their list of 800 big corporate clients that never bought from them. They were on a discovery call, they were on a one-on-one Zoom, but they never converted. So, and that's amazing because if we get one or two, we're talking 200,000-300,000 a year. So this is the potential of this. Like that's another thing. Approach businesses and say, hey, how many of your leads just didn't convert from a discovery call? 90%? Cool. Do you have their email addresses? Yeah, we do. Would you mind if I 100% funded a sales campaign where I bring some of that money back to you? Who would say no? At least a conversation.
Right?
Okay, agree? That's my point. That's why the leverage and the dynamics go from service provider to investor.
Very cool. That's impressive. I love it. Cool. Lucas, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And if you're ever in Marbella, Lebanon, or Stockholm, reach out to me and we'll have some dinner and coffee.
It sounds like a interesting place to visit, so I got to check it out. They have internet, right?
Yes. They have yeah. By the way, I'm buying one of these Google Internet modules. You can buy them from Amazon. You put in a chip, and it gets to like 100 gigabytes of internet. You put it in your pocket, you put it in your bag, and you have internet wherever you go.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, just go on Amazon and type in like portable Wi-Fi. Yeah, portable Wi-Fi, and it'll come up.
All right, I'll have to check that out. That's pretty cool. I love it. This has been Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. We're locally underwritten by the Bank of Sun Prairie. If you're listening or watching this on the web, if you could do us a huge favor, give it the big old thumbs up, subscribe, and of course, share this with your entrepreneurial friends. I guarantee that if they have a business, they have a list of trash can assets that Lucas was talking about. Guarantee it. My name is James Kademan, and Authentic Business Adventures is brought to you by Calls on Call, offering call answering and receptionist services for service businesses across the country on the web at callsoncall.com, as well as the Bold Business Book, a book for the entrepreneur in all of us, available wherever fine books are sold. We'd like to thank you, our wonderful listeners, as well as our guest, Lucas Selman. Lucas, I forgot to ask, how can people find you?
I'll put in my personal email, and personal email works best.
All right, easy enough. Lucas Selman's the young, driven guy who found love and who's going to be moving to Lebanon and can help businesses grow by taking care of those trash can assets. That is incredible. Past episodes can be found morning, noon, and night. The podcast link found at drawincustomers.com. Thank you for listening. We will see you next week. I want you to stay awesome. And if you do nothing else, enjoy your business.